Hello, I'm Klein. Welcome to Swatches live stream number 7. We will be doing our normal stuff today. We'll be doing portfolio reviews, looking at some of the submissions from last time's challenge, as well as taking your questions from the chat. Now, I have very little scripted here. We're going to be just doing it very casual. But let's start off, just kick in the intro and start saying hi to you guys. All right, here we go. Sorry, I was a minute delayed there. I had a problem with the settings, but I got that fixed up. All right, Mike, Glacius, Federico, everybody, hey, thanks for joining me. Sorry for canceling on you last week. I was out of town, literally driving on the road, so I wasn't able to make it, but I'm glad everybody was able to stick around and join this time. Reporting for duty. Awesome. Glad to have you. Working at night and bam, you came on, so I'm able to combine pleasure with work. Hey, nice. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get you in any trouble. Totally missed the stream. Well, you're here this time. Good to have you, Pamela. All right. I had some really good submissions last week on the, not last week, I guess 2 weeks ago for the 2 weeks ago challenge. And really good stuff, some great ideas. Really enjoyed looking at those. And thank you to everybody who participates in those. Wow, I do not know how to pronounce your name. I'll call you Zell. Zell, thanks for joining. Glad you're able to catch me live. Let's see, Savin, Mitch, Bomba, everybody, thanks. All right, 35 already, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out what we'll be doing for the challenge for this week. I did not get around to doing the classification for the environment. I do want to do an environment and switch away from just doing character challenges. So, I will get to that, so we'll do another character this time. Before I leave, thank you. Hey, Sasori, I'm glad my videos helped you out. I'm glad you're able to join for even a little bit. But of course, you know, you'll be able to watch the full stream later when it gets recorded. Can you see my portfolio? Edgar, I don't see any link there, man. If you've submitted it to me, then I've put it on the list. And of course, portfolios are chosen at random, so that's... You know, we'll see if we get to it or not. Katia! Hi, Canada. Up north. All right, good to have you. Environments are my weakness. You know what, Savin? Environments are probably a lot of our weaknesses. That's one of the reasons I think it would be good to do a environment challenge. A lot of us are character artists here, and so that change would be good for us. Oh, hey, before I forget, I do have this on my list so I don't forget. For my patrons, as well as just what would be a product for purchase afterwards, I am working on an ebook about painting and crafting mood in an image. It's creating whatever mood it is, not just moody images and that like they're foggy, but if you want a scene to be happy or sad or exciting, adventuresome, depressing, whatever the mood is that you want from the scene, it's how do you get that? And I'm working on it right now, but I would love to have some before and after, some submissions that I can repaint, applying the principles in the book to example some things. So if you are interested in having your work included in that, then leave a link to the image that you would like to submit. And if I use your image in the ebook, I will get you a free copy of the ebook. That's the way it works. So, or you could leave me your whole gallery. Now, I cannot use anything that is copyrighted. So if it was something that you created for a client, I can't do that. But if you have any pieces that are your own, then you can send me those. Also, put in there like mood submission, then give me the link. Then also, if you can, give me a description of what it is that you were going for. What was it kind of feeling that you were going for in the image? There are some things that I don't need submitted, which is like character designs. We're looking for things that are scenes and not just a character. All right, sorry, my thing was giving me a problem here and it froze my page. But I'll assume that you guys are still watching. Can I put in my portfolio with a little hope you'll see it? Sorry, what you need to do is to submit your portfolio for possible inclusion. This goes for anybody who wants to possibly have their portfolio reviewed. Go to any of my YouTube videos and leave a comment with a link to your online gallery, and I will add that. Now, I will not add that to be viewed in this particular stream, but it will be there. I will do it during the week, so it'll be ready for next week. And it is chosen by random, like I said. Yeah, so if you want to submit your work to the ebook to possibly be used in the before and after section to get a free copy of the ebook, please remember to do that, and I will add those to my list for that project. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and get the challenge taken care of. Pull that up. I don't have Photoshop open yet, so that's opening. Oh, I needed my random number generator. Okay, so this time around, we will be creating, let's see. Three. This will be a knight. All right, straightforward. 13. This will be a knight, and his distinguishing feature will be his weapon. Well, it makes sense for a knight. Now we're thinking something that is odd. Something, even for a knight, this thing is odd. Maybe it's a mailbox. I mean, what knight uses a mailbox for a weapon, right? That would be distinguishing. Or it could be distinguishing in that it is glowing or extra big or something like that. Okay, species 1 to 20. 6. It is an alien knight with a strange weapon. All right, that gives you some possibilities. 4. It is science fiction. All right, those go together well. Motive 1 to 20. 18. Has a herringbone design. That's kind of like the way that the bricks can be laid. So just Google herringbone. Time period. Well, it's science fiction, so it'll go with one of these. 7. It says modern. All right, it could be set in modern day. It could be an alien that visits us in modern day. And gender. What do we get? 2. This is a female alien. So, female knight alien with a distinguished weapon. Science fiction has some sort of herringbone design, either in its own character makeup or its armor or in its weapon, something like that. And it is in what we would consider modern time. Obviously, they could be more advanced than us. All right, got a couple of questions here. Now, what Mitch is doing there is having at Swatches. If you do have a question specifically to me that you want me to answer on air, then do please put at Swatches at the beginning of it, and it will flag it in orange for me. And it's a lot easier to notice those questions than just all of the type, because it can be difficult to glance through them all. When selecting and using colors, what's a good way to use muted colors? How do you know what muted tone to use? That's very broad. It's hard to answer that because it is largely dependent on the situation. Colors tend to mute the further they go away from you because more atmospherics are in the way and it desaturates the color. Muted tones can also be dependent on the amount of light available. If it's a low light condition, the colors get more muted. Also, in a very diffused light situation, like a foggy scene, it can be fairly bright in a fog, but still that much diffusion will soften out the colors a bit. And you can also mute colors, of course, because of just a mood that you're going for. What is a good way to use muted colors? One thing that you can do is keep a full range of colors. So keep them at their normal vibrancy and then use a vibrant adjustment layer on that so that you can adjust it easily and turn it on and off and see how much you want. And another way to mute it is to take into account what color the light source is. So if you have a lot of subjects, no matter what color they are, but they're all under a bluish light, then it's going to mute all of the reds, all the oranges, all those warm tones are going to mute down because it's under a light source of the opposite color. Do you really just desaturate your colors? Again, it just depends on the situation. Sometimes you just want a straight desaturation, and sometimes you want to actually tint it so it looks muted just compared to other things. Okay. Do you think the ideas in your ebook will be applicable to other art medias? Yes, this is one of the topical studies. It doesn't really have that much to do with digital painting. I'm not telling you how to do digital things. This is just art principles. This is light principles. I've broken it down into 10 topics, essentially. I got the category, the topic of mood, and broke it down into 10 factors. And by controlling these 10 factors, you can really get a stronger mood out of something, and that's what I'm going to be going over. And those things can apply to watercolor and pencil. Some, obviously, color won't apply to pencil if you're just working at graphite, but the rest of them would. Okay, scrolling down a bit. Where can we get that list you have for the exercises? I'm not sure. If you mean the list, like the class distinguishing weapon and stuff, I will put that in the description of the video if you need to reference that back. Otherwise, Glacius has typed it out and put it into the chat. I will put it there into the video information. Okay. Herringbone, it's like a pattern like this with each one kind of setting over the other one. Yeah. We didn't have a stream last week, correct. What projects were you working on last Monday? I was working on the ebook, and I was trying to get it done, and I just was not going to be able to get it done on time at the quality that it should be done at. I need to create a couple of dozen illustrations in order to properly example the topics that are being discussed. And I couldn't do that. There's just too many other things. And I've got 4 commissions setting to be done right now. And so I just had to take off a little time Do I use Adobe Lightroom? No, I don't. I have used it before for photography, but I'm not doing that much photography right now. Otherwise, I just use Adobe Photoshop for everything. How difficult do you find it coming up with original characters? Hey, Bobby. Hey, thanks for joining, man. How difficult? The general idea of the problem with original characters is about everything has kind of been done. Most general variations of everything has been done, but it's not that bad. It's combining two things. A lot of times it is combining an idea from one thing with another thing that you haven't really combined before. And that's one of the reasons like this, just this little art challenge that we're doing right here. You could come up with 10,000 original combinations because of the number of things that you could go through and just randomly come up with. I would not normally sit down and think of an alien knight with a distinguishing weapon that's a female in modern times. It's not something. So you could do, a dozen different acceptable concepts from just that. And that's not a bad place to start if you're trying to come up with an original character, is just let randomness give you a starting point. And from there, you'll probably hit on some idea or shape or concept that will inspire you to come up with something different. But that's just a starting point. Can the alien be genderless? I'm okay with that. If you want to do something to make it just feel a little more feminine, it doesn't mean it has to have breasts. Maybe it just has more coloring. Maybe its shapes are a little smoother, just to have a slightly feminine look. And that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't have to be feminine as in human feminine. What's my favorite recent Magic the Gathering art I illustrated? Let's see. Well, the last two Planeswalkers that I had come out, I'm pretty proud of those. The Jace Ingenious Mind Mage, I'm pretty happy with that one. And the last Liliana, I forgot, Liliana something. Death Wilder? Yeah. Almond Cat. And there's some new ones coming up too. There's a promotional piece that I did that hasn't come out yet. I'm pretty proud of that one. Have I used Color Constructor from QBrush, Mitch asked. I want to think I downloaded it and I've not used it yet. I remember coming across it and thinking, oh, that looks good, and I got it, and I haven't messed with it yet. But yeah, I would suggest to the other guys, go out to QBrush, and there is Color Constructor, and there is another one called like Paletor, something of that. And those both look really useful. So go to qbrush.com and look for like palette or swatches or something like that. Yeah. For me, the live streams each 2 weeks works better than one stream per week. I don't know the other half. Yeah, it might be that I'll end up having to do it every 2 weeks. I have a lot of stuff going on with the next month. But if I can do weekly, I'll stick with that. Mitch Federico says Prisma Palette, the plugin from the same creator, is a great tool. Hey, I might check that out. Prisma Palette. Actually, I'm going to take a note of that. Prisma Palette. People are always coming up with nice little plugins, and I feel like I'm very behind the times on many of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some of the submissions from last week. I will be changing it up a little bit. Like last week, last live stream, I spent pretty much the whole time just reviewing submissions and doing portfolio reviews of the images sent in. And that's great on one hand, but I'm just kind of explaining it here right now quickly. Now, I'm not going to keep doing that. Like, this was really for portfolio reviews and just random paintovers. And if you want, the professional feedback, I mean, that's basically why I set up the Patreon for the people that are really into that and they need that feedback. So I will be picking out a winner. I'll probably pick out a couple of honorable mentions, some things I like about them, but I'm not going to be doing like full paintovers and reviews of everything submitted. Basically, I wanted to give you guys just something to shoot for during the week to keep you drawing, and something that you can do together, kind of a community thing, but not a full-on every week you get in a free, personal lesson. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And okay, well, let me go ahead and pull over to these other images. Pull that up. Okay, so these are the submissions. I think I got everybody for the last one here, but let's pull them up. Alexandra really liked the piece here. You check the boxes on this one. It's got that old look, so ancient civilizations, got the witch. I like that each arm is sort of doing something. Like this one is summoning, or I guess using magic to hold up maps. That one's pointing in a direction. That one's holding a light. And this one's got eyeballs for, I don't know. I'm almost thinking like the eyeballs are payment, and you got to give her an eyeball for her to take you somewhere, which is a terrible, but somehow it works, like the concept of that. I don't know if it really hits on the horror vibe aside from the eyeballs. I'd almost want to see her being like a little more grotesque for it to be horror, or there's other disturbing things that she has wrapped around her or other accoutrements. But well done, and the whole painted up thing is good. If you were to play something up, I'd probably say a little more of the magic effect on the outside, or maybe some strands of magic like keeping these together, or coming off the hand that's summoning them. Yeah. This one was probably the most horror of them all, and kudos to that. That is creepy. That is creepy. The arms are just disturbing. The fact that the hat makes basically the same shapes as the body, and you can only see the sharp teeth. I appreciate that. Good job. This lady is also, I like the idea of the octopus leg. Like we said, extra limbs, right? And they thought to take it, Devin thought to take it not even human, but tactical legs, which is cool. The rest of it is almost, Frankenstein's a monster being all patchwork. These people like, I really don't think following her is the right idea. I'm not comfortable with that. Yeah, that would be a good call. I don't think you should follow her. Okay, for some reason it wants to open both. All right, another good execution here. I don't know that, again, you need to use the same metal gold chain thing, because you even use that on the other one. But this is obviously disturbing. I would buy the fact that she is a witch of some kind. And I don't know, maybe her dark magic is causing this weird arm mutation thing. But I do like the magical artifact here that she's using to find her way, or whatever, points you to whatever you're looking for. The execution's pretty good, and the foggy background is a good call as far as making it a little more creepy. Jacob, going with old style, and got the Greek thing going on here. I would like to see maybe a little more time spent with just a good line drawing, rather than having to focus on putting out a lot of color. Because it's not colored so much that you have a good light source and shadows and everything, but it's just enough to kind of block it in, but not to be a full image. So I would say if you're not going to have time to paint it all the way up, then just give me a nice good line drawing, and spend more time on that so you can flesh out more details. Right now, it just doesn't feel like there's quite enough there. So, you know, give me some more detail, flesh out the character a little bit more. But I mean, I like the direction that it's going. I don't have a problem with that. So just keep at it, and maybe use your time a little bit better. Manuel posted his on Instagram. Now, I do like this one. The creative mind here that the extra limbs are phantom. They're like apparition limbs. Very good idea. And I give you points for that. The one that I don't feel like it quite hits is the horror. I mean, she's like holding a skull, but it's all in all not a horror genre. It doesn't really fall into that. Definitely more fantasy. But I like the character that it's a younger, I think the idea of a young witch with, you know, the magic is giving her extra hands. That's well done. And this is a good, you know, if you don't have time to do a full painted image, this is completely fine. Just do a black and white, throw some basic tones on there. That works out well. Revival by Red Metal Gears. Also a very good horror image here. It has that distinction of the river of Styx, you know, the guide that takes you across the river of death in the mythology of, was it the Greek mythology, Roman? I forget which one. A good decision in that every arm sort of has its own duty or its own job. So these arms are rowing it. Those are holding a map. This one's using, maybe that was the payment or something. Maybe that was, I don't know, probably the payment. And then this one is giving them light across the water. And the idea that it has extra arms around its legs and it's using it to hold the passenger. That is creepy. Like having this thing standing on top of you with its arm legs cradling you. That's a creepy idea. I do like that you messed up one side of the face. So it has one good eye and one like dark, you know, side of the head. You know, I would say keep working that up, and I would love to see a finished color version of that, because I think that would work well if you could add a bit more color. It doesn't need to be a colorful image, but go ahead and, you know, finish that up. Swamp Witch Guide. We got, you know, boob alert here. Old witch boobs. Okay, so I do like the idea this is a very nature-based character, and that takes it a little bit different direction, that they are guiding you through the swamp. The glowing mushrooms. Again, this is sort of straddling that line drawing, digital painting thing. So I would probably keep going to like make her more dirty. Like her hair, maybe even make her hair like extra long. In this case, probably make, not just for decency, but like make her hair extra long. It's like it's coming down all the way down to her hips, right? And it's matted and it's got more stuff in it. And you could even shade out her eyes entirely so you can't really see them. And if you're going to have mushrooms on this, I mean, what you could think about is basically having the whole top bloom into a mushroom and have little mushrooms coming off of that mushroom. So it's getting one idea and you know, shoving it even further. And thank you for the submission. Empress, I think is the name there. Got two of them. Oh. Computer lags a little bit when it's doing the live stream. Okay, another kid one. Again, not really on the horror, but I would accept it as a witch and a guide. And you do have the broom. It's the only one I think in here that they actually have a witch's broom. That's awesome. And the fire there. The cuts, that is just, it's disturbing on a kind of a visceral level to see this kid standing there with these deep bleeding cuts. And they seem completely oblivious to it. In that way, it is sort of a horror image, but it's disturbing in that fact. So I do give you kudos to that. I would like to see a little more visual interest. The clothes are very simple, and I would like to see, I don't know, some sort of patterns or extra accoutrements or something like more designs on the broom. Just give me a second read of something to look at, some additional bit of information. This is really cool. A different take on a witch. Again, not really fitting the horror thing, but I do like the execution. Very good execution. I like the handle of the lighting. The color scheme is well handled. So I think this is a successful image. Maybe not exactly what the challenge is looking for, but I do like it. And pointing. One of the problems of doing that, though, is you're pointing the viewer's eye immediately off the image. Because you've got her here looking off the image, and she's pointing off the image, and there's nowhere to go. So what you might want to think about doing is expanding the image and making it a bit bigger so that you don't feel like her hand is almost touching the frame at the top. And continue the star field up here. So you get the idea that she's pointing to some stars up above her, and just give her a little breathing room up there. Okay. Otherwise, good job on the image. I like it overall. Yeah. Another image that Tundi, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Good idea. The giant, like you got one little dude down here, and this giant wants to guide them. And it's just the head and the hands that you can see it, and this really, sinewy, huge body going up that way. I like it overall. It tells me more of a Colossus sort of thing, almost an elemental, less of I would say a witch, but I like the idea. I like where it's going, and it is so far from what I would normally think of as a witch guide that I appreciate the originality to that. And it's kind of creepy that way. Yeah. And after I get done with this, I will flip back so I can see your comments. If you're new to the stream, then know that I do not have two monitors right now, so I cannot read your comments as I am looking at these. All right, I was impressed with this. I like the idea that here she disguises herself as a navigator, offering help to unsuspecting sailors who would sadly never reach their destination. So she would show up like this very presentable, trustworthy sort of guide. And then I guess once she lures them out away where there is no safety, then she turns into one of these and she, I don't know, steals their life force or eats them or something. But that is a beautiful rendition of the classic sort of mythology where something presents itself very alluring and then turns around and kills you. And these are both pretty creepy. I like the idea. I like the way the execution of this. It's a clean character design with basic lighting, basic colors, but it totally works and it gets the idea across. The expression here is good. Using the expression through the hands as well. I like that. Good ideas. And immediately sets it in that ancient empires time frame with this sort of design, the white and the blue, just the toga style. This one pretty simple. I mean, not a lot going on here, but it does hit the horror and the extra limbs and treating the arms as inhuman arms. That's kind of weird. And successful in that idea. So this is another one. I would say that the concept is good, but it needs more iterations. It needs more time to develop. Give me some more variations, put some more time into it, and flesh it out a bit more. Give some more visual interest to it. Like, I'm not sure what they're wearing, so maybe tell me that. Give me something, like give me some. I have no idea that they're a guide, and that's one of the things I need to get across. Give me some scrolls or a map, or I don't know that they're a witch, so I don't know they have magic. Give me some idea that they have magic, and they're not just a mutated monster or something. But the lighting is good. The creepy long inhuman arms are good, so just keep running with that a bit more. Now, in the end, I will say this was frankly a difficult choice. I kept going back and forth between several of these, and in the end, the one that I have to say won this challenge is Revival by Red Metal Gears, and it's for a lot of the reasons I just said. This one, it strikes me as some sort of witch or dark creature like that, and it has the extra limbs. It's just creepy, and it's good function usage of them. Now, that's not to say anything against the other people that submitted. Like I said, this was, I had a difficult time choosing. I'm not just choosing on execution. I'm not just choosing on how much got done. I am looking a lot for the concept and the ideas behind it, whether the piece is finished or not. And I think this just really hit a lot of the right marks for me. So, Red Metal Gears, I need you to send me a private message. And when you do, I will set you up with a free product from the store. And we will make that happen. So, all right, I have switched back so I can look at your comments here. Okay, let me pull back a bit. Pull back. Okay, Emerson. Let's see. How to get better textures illustrating different kinds of materials. I would say one of the first things to do when you're looking at trying to get better textures and materials is looking at the way that it handles lighting. How matte is it? How reflective is it? Does it have a broad light on it? That, like this shirt here. This shirt does not highlight. It's very, very matte. So you're not going to put highlights on this. My skin is going to highlight a little bit more. So it's going to have higher highlights than the shirt does because it's fabric. This wall is probably going to be somewhere in between. And that's one of the major things that distinguishes between materials. Does it, like a piece of metal, I don't have any shiny metal with me, aside maybe just like my key. Now, like that key, it is either really light or very dark. It doesn't have a tendency to sit in the middle range very much. Whereas my shirt will. It will sit in the middle and won't go too light and won't go too dark. Same thing with the skin, it's slightly more. So start paying attention to that, and that will really help your textures. Number 2, how to set price rates. The rule of thumb on that is figure out what you need to make a living. So I'm going to pick the number 100, I'll say $100. Now, it'll probably take you more than that, but let's say it because it's an easy number. Then if you need to make $100 to make a living doing this, to make a living being an artist, and somebody wants you to do a project, you estimate the project will take 3 days. Well, what do you need to charge them? $300. Now, you probably actually want to charge them at least 130% to 150%. So it'd be $300, probably closer to $400, $450 for that 3-day commission. And that is because you're going to have time that you take to communicate with the person, and you're probably also going to have to do some iterations, some edits for them. So you're trying to factor that in as well. And it comes from, that is basing it on how many days it will take to do a project. And that's the simple way to start with. If you start working with big companies, a lot of them do have flat rates. And so you're not going to give them a quote. They're just going to tell you what they will pay you. All right, moving on. Federico says she's Thanatos, the witch of the boat. That's cool. Works for me. The Egyptian one is creepy. Yes, it is. It's a successful image. I like that. Mamet says, Federico answers, yes, this particular contest is open to anybody watching the live stream. Anybody on YouTube can join this. Now, I do have patron-only challenge, and those last longer, and they're more in-depth, and I give feedback on those, and we do a closed review paint-over video for them. So if you want to get in on those, you can join the Patreon, but these are open to everybody. The last one was Cyberpunk. Now, there was one that just finished up, and that was on Tomb of the Sphinx. It's an Egyptian-based one where they're doing the cover to a fictional board game. And I'm going to put up a video later. I'll probably show some of those. I am really impressed by the guys and some of the images they've done for this. Some legit professional work coming out of that one. Yeah. Okay, yeah, now it is on a portfolio review. So let me move this out of the way and open up a new tab. And I need to pull up my list. Just give me a moment here. Portfolios for consideration. Okay. There are currently 154 portfolios in the list, so I need to put that in for my guide. And 112. Oops. No, let's copy it. Let me make sure that's an active address. Some of these are not working. All right, so my computer has decided not to load DeviantArt. Let's see if I can open it with somebody else. No. Okay, well, it is not wanting to open DeviantArt, and I don't know how to get around that right now. Okay, you know what? I don't want to. It is for a Phoenix Nightmare. I don't want to leave you out, so I will go ahead and put you on the list, and you will be first up next time until I can figure out why it is not letting me do DeviantArt. Okay, so it's filtered that site out for some reason. Okay, let me find another one. Sorry about that. Okay, this one's working. So I will flip over and we'll take a look at this together. Okay, so this is the site of James Child. Okay, there, I can pull some off now. James Child, I have not seen this gallery, so I'm going into this completely new. Okay. All right, so James obviously has been putting in a lot of time, and these are solid pieces. So let's flip through, see what we've got. Good moody image there. I like its design. That has a rather Brad Rigney look to it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. That's really well done. It was a good choice to use that one on your home page. Really nice image there. Good control. So this is what I was talking about as far as materials. CRLE has nice highlights there on the metal, and he tones down the highlights for this. It's a little more matte. And of course the hair is very matte. That's the sort of thing you want to look at. The way that it catches light. Yeah. I've got a, okay, it looks like it doesn't spend as much time with the environments. Feels like this one probably didn't have enough reference. It just feels a little too stereotypical as far as the way some of these things are rendered. But I like it overall. Like, I don't have the right feeling of distance on that. I'd like to have a lot more atmosphere. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. I like. I like that. I like that. This is like just glowing hot. It's not magic runes. You see that a lot, not just glowing bits. But it's like it's been in the furnace hot glowing. Good effect there in the very cold here. Good shape. It reminds me of the Judges. It was a Final Fantasy 12, I think it was. Excellent designs on those if you haven't looked at them before. And now, I'm a little confused, like how he's holding it. Is there a handle on the other side that I'm not seeing? I'm a little confused by that. That's my major thing there. But otherwise, I really like that image. I mean, that's good. This is a complex scene, and there are so many ways this could go wrong, and it's not. It's working really well. All right, so let's go back. I do have some things in the back of my mind that I can mention. Oh, no, that's just where I was. But let's take a look through these two. I don't know what the outline for this guy was, but he's funny. All right. He's got some sort of jetpack. Cool. Nice cybernetic thing. I like the limited scheme there. You have good control of just having an accent color with a lot of gray. That can work well. It's good. A lot of games need this sort of thing. Basic full character, just to put it on a card or a sheet. Straight up your classic dwarf. Good. Yep. Textures are working well. Oh, that's freaky. Yeah, if it makes me think that, then you're doing a good job. It's pretty freaky. All right, little guys. Oh, you got quite a bit in the concept art. Yeah, that's a good image. Skin tones, when you take the time, you really get in a lot of those skin tones, and I would say that that's one of the strong points. Is a lot of people can't get that feeling of skin. Like this one, I feel like if I could reach out and touch it, I could feel the warmth of that skin, and that would be, I could feel the kind of the thickness to it, the softness of it. The hair is also really good. So that is definitely one of your strengths, is getting good materials. Okay, let's go back. All right, now I'm not going to be able to address fundamental stuff. He's beyond the fundamental stuff. He's got his own style. He's moved past that. All I can do is make a couple of suggestions on individual pieces, and hopefully that helps him out a bit. Let's see. Let's pull this over, and can I not pull this over? No. Okay. Well, here, I will do it that way. Maybe that'll let me. I'll just screenshot them and then I'll pull them over. Okay, that's it for a moment. Now I'm going to set these up in Photoshop. I would just going to pull up the chat while I set up this so I can see what you guys are talking about. And I need to get a new file. Oh, okay, Gabriella. That's me. Give you the ArtStation. Yeah, I don't think you can see the chat. Okay, you got the. Yeah, put in your ArtStation. If you've got that, that's fine. Quick answer is Dennis. How many cards have I done? I've done 96 for Magic. Okay, and let me pull these pictures in. Okay, let me just copy that. If it's that at artstation.com/that, then that should be fine. And let me double check that'll work for Gabriella. Okay. Okay, Gabriella. Yeah, I got you now. So we'll take a look at that as soon as we get through the other one. Yep, cool. Yeah, I got it up there, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. Okay, anything else I need to answer before we get into some... Is there anything different about illustrating story spotlight Magic the Gathering cards like you did with Vraska's Contempt? You know, see, you say Vraska's Contempt, and I can't even remember what image that is. Story images, I've done a couple of story images. They are different proportions sometimes, so that's one thing. Otherwise, most of it goes basically the same way. I mean, you send in a sketch and they give you feedback, and it's of the same stuff. So unless you're doing a promotional image, and that's something they're going to use on banners or boxes or on the main page of the website to try to get sales, those generally take longer by multiple times. They pay more, but they take a lot longer, and there's a lot more revisions go into those than your standard one. There's more art directors and people that have their hands in that pot. Okay, so I will get back to some. It looks like there's some good questions here, but I'm going to jump over and look at some feedback for this fella, and then I will come back to answer some more questions. So let me move that out of the way. All right, if I remember, okay, let me rasterize these. I've got to do that. Rasterize. If I don't rasterize them, I can't actually draw on them. I just plug them as smart objects. Cool. Okay, now we can do some drawing. Let's pull this up. One small thing here is sort of, I won't say a tangent, it's not two lines touching, but you got the curve. guy's head here, and then you've got this magic like perfectly curving over the head, and that just seems a little odd. So I would suggest changing that. There's some of it's breaking up across a different way, so it isn't completely following his head. Yeah. And another thing would be you're creating a split feeling with the image. Usually when you're having two opposing light sources like this, and this is one of the things that I talk about I'll go over in my mood book, is when you have split lighting, then it is a way to convey that there is some sort of opposition going on inside of the character, a good and bad struggle, a struggle of conscience, that sort of thing. And I don't have the feeling that that's what he's going for here. So I don't know that you really need to have this other light on that side. Okay. Forgot I changed that earlier, and it's not going to pick it up unless I reset it. Okay. I would probably really mute down this other light side over here. I mean, you can have a little bit, but you have this beautiful purple light going on, and why don't you pull this one down some and go ahead and just let that run the scene. Otherwise, you've kind of got an odd color mix going on here between yellow and green and violet, and the color scheme doesn't really work. So if you wanted to simplify that, I would say, we could do it this way. I'll make a new layer. No, that's not what I need. Set that to multiply. Nope. People around here, I don't know if you can hear that. People around here love hearing their big trucks make lots of noise. Make sure I'm on the right screen, yeah. Ever since on that one stream, I forgot to switch it over. I'm a little paranoid. So I'm using a multiply layer with purple to paint down the lights on that other side. And so now the color scheme is a lot simpler. It's a purple color scheme with a green accent. So it's almost monochrome, but it just has an accent color, which is what you would call a discordant color scheme. And you might want to also add some variation to the scheme. Let's make this one lighten. You don't have to have it all the same black, right? Like you could indicate some atmosphere a little bit more. Show me some variation. Like that. Or we could put green on the other side, but as long as it's a bit deeper, so it's not completely fighting for that. It's such a beautiful purple light going on over here that we don't want to try to steal that away with another light. And yeah, I think that maybe be a little more successful. Okay. On this one, the main thing here is that, okay, she is straight up and down, completely straight onto us. And on the whole, that's fine. It's pretty much okay because she's the focal point, and She's not completely symmetrical because she's walking and one leg is in front of the other one, and her spear thing is there. What bothers me a little bit is that this guy is also completely straight on, because now we've got a problem with the focal point, that generally the person that is straight to us is the focal point. But now that you have two of them, this one's lighter and more centered, so you'd say her. But this guy is bigger and off-centered, so that gives him almost equal importance. So now it's just a divided interest between the two, and that's not a good thing. So I would say, I mean, you don't want to redraw the guy's head, but honestly, this guy probably needs to be looking this way. This guy's looking across that way, she's looking forwards, and he needs to be looking that way. And that keeps you in the image and knowing what's going on. So his body kind of needs to be turned like he's just starting to turn his upper body this way, and that shoulder would go back that way. And you might be able to get his head and just tweak it, like use the warp and give you the basic turn to it, and then, adjust it, obviously. But that would give you closer, and I think that would help you with how the focal point is handled in the scene. Something else I would do is add a bit more difference in between the foreground and the background. Lighting wise, either she needs to be going shadow down here like that. I think we don't need that light down there on her legs. That's a little distracting. It's okay that she's going into shadow, but let it be like that. Otherwise, that light's not continued onto anything else down there. Something else is, you've got a lot of atmosphere back here, so let's do that in order to keep planes a little better. I'm always going to be pushing for clearer planes. So that is keeping the darks and the background a little bit lighter than those in the foreground. I'll make a new layer, set it to lighten. And you know what? I'm going to set that down to like 35%. And then if I just have a little atmosphere here, then the blacks of them should be a little bit blacker than the blacks of the background, because there is light going on in this scene. There's not an absolute lack of light. I just feel like if we can get a little bit more from those, and you can play this up a little bit more. These steps are fine. So you can give me some bit more steps over there. That's cool. Gives me a little visual interest. So that would a little bit better. And it makes the character stand out a bit more. And with the light, it's okay to have it, fall off, and they can almost become silhouettes on the bottom. That's fine. Yep. Okay, a couple of thoughts on that one. Here, this one, like if you put it to grayscale, doesn't hold up real well. Oh yeah, oops. Still have that selected. Because there's just light and dark in a lot of places. And I feel like she either needs to be lighter or darker than the background. And we've kind of got both right now. So can we fix that? And also, can we use color to do that as well? If you can't separate them from values, then try to separate them with color. So let's try it maybe one or two ways. Set this to color. Give me the orange. Simple way to do that is, warm foreground, cool background, a cool foreground, warm background. Now, you've already established a lot of warm here and cool in the background. The one thing that bucks the system is this magic that she has right here. But if we can make this warm, then we allow everything in the foreground to become warmer, and it makes it stand out a little better than it was before. I'm sorry, I'm doing a hash job of this because I'm just trying to do it very quickly. So forgive that. You want to have fairly distinct warm and cools. He had it pretty good. Pretty good. He had it really well, actually, in all of this part. So let's just carry it over to her. And then I'll make a new layer. Set it to darken. Set it down a bit. And as far as this blue, we don't necessarily need the background to have as much light as the foreground. So that bright light back there is competing to how bright she is. So let's tone that down a bit. And we could also add that was the color. I said I multiply. Set that down low. Just bring some skin tone back into her. It's like it's almost as if she's under a lot of light and that she's super, super pale. And she really doesn't need to be that pale. So I'm going to bring some back into that. Okay. And then we can use what he's doing here. This is a good use of that rim light along the back. It gives us good information. And it's not just one little, this is one of the problems a lot of people make. I'll show it to you. They do rim light and it's just this really, really thin edge light. And what he's doing, he's allowing it to fall over a bit more, which is really nice. And it's actually telling us more texture and information. So we want to do a similar thing here on her where we can get a nice warm light and use that. And it's going to hit that metal and just really sheen up this metal and get these bright little pops of light on the metal. I'm going to play that up more. Her hand's going to be nice and warm. And so we can use saturation and warmth to separate her as well as value. And you won't have to use so much value because you'll be using saturation and hue as well. That's some small changes, but you see how that makes her pop out a little more? There she just kind of drifts into the background. And this, she stands out a little bit. And we also want to clean up some of this. I'm not sure why, but it's getting dark around the edges of her, where we don't want the dark background around the arms that should be darker. So she will also stand out a bit more if we take out that dark fuzz around the character. Yeah. And let's also allow some of that to go. And this is going into darkness, heavy darkness right here, but there's no fall off. And thinking about where that light is, there would be some fall off of light, and it would start getting a bit darker as it goes down. So that's what we want to incorporate. Trying to pull some of those forms back. It was a bit washed out, a little bit. Yeah. So that's the direction I would suggest going on that. This one is a similar thing in that we've got a lot of fuzz going on. I know that you're trying to get a lot of smoke and stuff, but honestly, it'd be more interesting just to be able to see like this thing's silhouette. So let's play down the variations here, because we've got like purple and blue and orange and yellow and more orange and red and violet. And simplify it a little bit, right? We don't need quite that many colors. Set that to color. I don't know why you're asking me that. Fine. Okay. So I'm just going to color sample and adjust the color of some of this and simplify it and say the sky is much more this way. Doesn't have as much purple in it. I'm not sure where the purple's coming from, but let's simplify it. We can do a gray background, a sienna background, and then a cooler foreground for her. So we do that, and then we can come back and get this aqua color and say, and personally, I like the idea, like this sword has this greenish blue light, right? Okay, cool. So let's let that really knock the color into this armor so that essentially everything in this region has this nice cool light around it. And it gives us clearer, simple colors over a big area instead of lots of little, I'm going to say a bit more splotchy colors. Now these guys are being lit by this fire. Oops, I'm going to keep it inside the boundaries. So we can pick up some of this fire orange and then these guys can have that. And we're just trying to group entire areas together a bit more. This guy, okay, let me set this back to normal. I'm gonna put this guy into shadow. I want to simplify his values. And also if he's in shadow a bit more, then it makes his eye and his mouth stand out. That glow has more glow to it because it has something to contrast against. And then I can go up to lighten and set that down a bit. And I can grab some of this atmospheric. Oh, I need more than that. And I can go over him. And that just pushes him back away from her a little. So we're adding more planes into it. And in a similar way, I want to do a darken on these guys. So the foreground guys are more dark, which is some edge lights on them. And they have that warm tone. So you can kind of see the direction I'm going there, where it's a little blotchier and just warm, cool, where I would say you want to unify it more with her and her area basically being cool. And give me that. And that's contrasting against the other guys around it. Yeah. All right, that's some ideas. On this one, I like how you've handled the whole scene. The crystal looks good. All the individual parts look good, but there's wasted space. Like, maybe he had to make room for text or something, and that's possible. I'll give him a possibility for that. But this basically doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. And almost none of that. I mean, I get the idea there's a magic sigil there, but the really important parts that I care about are just the characters and some of these monsters and that crystal. And they don't take up enough of the scene. So instead, what I would think to do is, I like this guy, I like this monster. So let's copy and paste them and get some overlapping going on there and make him a little bit bigger. He's a little closer to us now. Okay, cool. Let's put that there. And I'm going to use my background eraser tool, and I want to erase that blue tone. Get that torch back in there. Okay, cool. Kind of paint him back out. Yeah. All right, so that gets him in there, and I'm just going to hit his highlights up a little bit more so we can see him stand out. That gets that close. Essentially what I'm going to do, I want to crop things in so we get more use of everything. All right, now I'm going to get this spider. I want that spider. Let's hold that there for a second. And then now we can get a lot closer on the characters because we've moved this guy in and we've moved that spider in. See, they used to be way over here. And now all we've done is taken out that doorway. Now you could put that doorway back. We could have another doorway right there if you want to have that light behind him, and that's fine. But this spider, what we want is this spider to basically be here above us. Let me turn him, actually wrong one. I do apologize. The computer behaves differently when I'm running all this stuff, and it keeps lagging on my clicks. So we can have this spider up here, right? And so it's right here in the foreground, and it's really big. I don't know that I can really get that from this, but let me put him over that. Yeah. I'll do that as a placeholder for right now. Now, you can still see the sigil down there. That's not a problem. Somehow I think the legs are like that. I don't know. Guessing. Okay, unlock that. And this guy's almost a silhouette. He's just rah. And we don't necessarily need to see that much of him. He can just be there on the foreground. But that's the sort of difference I'm thinking about. See, we've pulled him down, and we've just cropped in. The characters get to be almost 200% bigger because we've moved him in, gave us more room to pull them up. We didn't really need quite that much over there. And then we've made this spider twice as big. So now this thing is like very threatening, right? He's right here in the foreground. I feel like we're standing next to him. And that's how I'd handle it. It was just optimizing what you have. That's not a lot of rework, but you get more out of the scene. And you don't feel this, you feel more like you're there. You've got this thing right next to you. You're on the ground level and you're going through this with the characters. Otherwise, the way that it was, you're very removed. You're kind of just a third person away from everything, and things are just setting there, not really interacting or having a lot of pressure on them. Okay, I'm going to switch back. All right, pulling back up and see if we've got some questions. Yes, if you're looking for anatomy tips, then Proko is a good place to go look. Proko. You can check out his stuff. Charlie, yeah, an hour ago. Let's see, Seraphim. Hi there, I love your stuff. Do you do one-on-one lessons? I do one-on-one lessons or consultations as time permits. Right now, that would not be immediate. If you want to, you can send me a personal message and give me your email address, and we can talk about it. Maybe we can set something up. That's just as I have time. Okay. Now, I don't want to run too much longer, but I do want to get to the portfolio of Gabriella that I was not able to open earlier. So let's pull over to that and take a look before I have to get off. All right. Now, this is the artwork of Gabriella Noir, if I'm saying that correctly. Let's see. Let's flip through here and see what we have. Now, I've not seen this before. Environment work. I have always been a little partial to this style. I appreciate this style. The cutout look to it. Yeah, okay. Guatemalan cartoon landscapes. All right. I assume this is like backgrounds to a animated show or something. It's always a fun way to do tree designs, the lines going through it like that. Yeah. Samurai Jack. Those trees kind of remind me of Samurai Jack. That's what it is. Okay. New take on a lovable, well-known science fiction character. Happy 30th anniversary. T-Hawk. I kind of like the one with the water coming off of him. That's a nice effect. He does have that wet feel to him. I think it's pretty successful. Okay, now I hit these. Okay, Sailor. Of course, Sailor Moon. Got some more Sailor stuff. I cannot critique whether those are accurate or not. I am not that familiar with Sailor Moon. Good action going on. Again, let's just flip through there and see what we have, and then we can start talking about some suggestions. Oh, interesting. Got commissioned for 7 pieces of Art Nouveau style, like Greek gods, each one representing scolarity. Greek gods, Hestia, Hephaestus, and Demeter. Art Nouveau, yeah, the very Muga style. Love it. Good look. Psyche, Hygia, Astraea. And Electra, the Pleiades, the bright one. Really good intermix of styles there with that Art Nouveau style. It could be a hard thing to get right, but you keep it clean. Looks good. Okay. Well, that's nice. Love Letter app game. They needed some images of posable endings of the character. Everything 2D. Yeah, that does seem like a you lose. Okay. You know, sometimes I forget that I'm supposed to be teaching here, and I like looking at images. Oh, that is complex. All right. Yeah, okay, guys, there is a lot of work to be done in app games. They need so many images. And if you can get in on a company that's making a lot of stuff, that'd probably set you up for a while. What was this? Zenoscope covers colors. Okay, so somebody else drew them and you're doing the colors. All right. Imparella. Mm-hmm. Okay, coloring kind of goes off on something else. I've done plenty of coloring before, but don't need to go into all of that. All right, that was basically everything. Oh, how do I not get these? Digital painting, can I just click that? Okay, it gives me the ones I just saw, but various Gotham Sirens. Nymph. I think nymph is with a Y though, just side note. Human Rainbow Dash. Okay, that makes sense. One thing I would say is, I think one of the next things that you should look at is skin and really pushing a bit more out of the skin. Right now, it's like, it feels like this is a good first pass or even second pass, but I look at it and I don't really get skin. I feel like it's a drawing of some skin, but maybe you don't want to go that realistic. If you're not going to go that realistic, then I would say probably stylize it a little bit more. Otherwise, it feels like you're trying to go realistic for it, but you're holding back a little bit from making it really real. And so it's somewhere in between there. And it's like it doesn't have any texture almost. And there's some small variations in skin that you really need some references for. You're doing a lot of it right. These are small things though. Okay, let's go back. Can you let me just see? Okay. I'll just pull that over here. Cool. This is one of the cases that you probably want to use some artistic license as far as the body and like really show me the, okay, that doesn't feel quite right to me. I would say getting her super thin. I mean, one of the things about Sailor Moon is that this is super stylized and idealized. And right now, running a straight line from the breast down makes it really flat, and I don't think that we want to go for that. So we want to have that curve and then run into the rib cage, which is going to be setting, you know, right around here. And then stomach, and then coming down. On the legs, if we look at the size of the legs compared to the head, and we're looking at the whole thing compared to the head, right? And the size of the waist, the chest, and the hips compared to the legs is unproportional. Now, I'm saying unproportional, but like her hips, you know, should not be wider, I would think, than somewhere around there. So the legs seem unusually big. Probably have like that leg coming forwards and maybe that one going back. And then I would, honestly, that's an odd angle to have an arm with the arm up, you know, basically seeing the armpit, which is never real attractive. I might want to think about like moving the sleeve so it does something a little different there. And seeing some more of this color. The color is a distinguishing thing with them. So you could play that up and show me some more of that. But double check that anatomy. And don't be afraid to, like with the hair, even going more. Now if we were to make that adjustment. Now, I think that that does it a little bit better. You see how that fits her body? That's much more feminine. We're getting that hourglass shape is really exaggerated more. And she still doesn't look, you know, unnaturally, you know, idealized. And the hair, if you're going to have that much hair at the end, then I would think that this part can be really thick. And you know, this hair should also be pretty long too. It's probably going to keep going for quite a ways. Okay, so that'd be some thoughts on that one. Just double checking that anatomy before you paint it all. Okay, let's pull back up. That's nice. That's good lighting. I like the out of focus does well. You know, I'm assuming that this is this a small character? So you can say that this works really well if you want to show somebody that's small. Just show them out of focus with the background. But if she has a butterfly on her hand, then she'd be normal size with butterfly wings. Okay. I like the lighting here. So I'm not sure that you need this light back here. You got this green light here and these candles, It feels like maybe one of these could go away. Now, if you're going for like a mysterious vibe, then probably not having that bright white, it kind of kills the idea of like, there's obviously a lot of light in this room, so why light the candles? Maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit, but if this was like dusk or nighttime, then you could still have some blue light if it was nighttime coming in, and the warm light would make sense. There's not enough light to light the candles, and they could be your main light source. You know what, let's pull this over. Can I pull it directly off of that? Okay, cool. I'll do this and then we'll finish up because it's already past 7:30 and it is about time to start wrapping up. Okay, so let's do this. Turn that back on. Oh, turn that on the other way. There. Now, if you handed this to me, what would I do with it? I think I would come in here and I would knock that down in value. I can allow it to be darker down there, that's fine. And I think if we're going to go for the feeling that they're wanting more, then let's underlight her. Gives her more of a, you know, something is amiss look. And the candles are down there, so it would make sense that she could have some underlighting on her. Now, if you have not painted underlit characters and you don't know how to figure that out, go take some references. Now, I've done it enough times that I can get a basic one in, but it still is very helpful to go get references. Because the face is generally the most important part of the image, I'm spending a bit more time on that so that they have a clear idea of what I'm going on about. Okay, so let me get that. And then you want to carry that same idea. I mean, most of this is not catching direct light, so it would be shadowed. But this green light over here is nice. And this is one of the times that having that split lighting of a green-red sort of dynamic works well, because it does have this sort of mysterious, good, bad interplay going on in this scene. And having that color dynamic, sorry, I'm trying to think it through and explain it as I'm drawing it. Having that color dynamic works well to convey that, and having the real clear distinction between the one and the other. Yeah, I don't know that you need the window at all, but if you have to have the window, then another thing that you can do in order to have more of a mysterious feel is to have more things drift into darkness. Just have more dark corners. More silhouettes. You just don't have as many answers to what's around as you would want. Like, and that would be casting up a shadow on the books, right? So everything's got this unnatural underlit shadow. I don't know how it jumps over to that. Yeah. I'm just thinking maybe you could treat that more like a silhouette and the background lightened up. But if you underlight here, I think it would help more than if you play up the green-red balance of the color scheme. It'd probably help more. Try cutting down on the amount of light. And this is also a case, maybe you could let the ceiling, it could be higher than what we see, and allowing things to just drift off into darkness can be a good way to kind of make us feel a little uneasy that there's more to account for than we can see. Let's see. You can almost make the whole candle glow. Let that light radiate all the way through it. Yeah. And then if there's a nice warm light lighting that, then this is all going to be super warm because that's the only color that light source is basically putting out. It's a limited color range light source. It's not white light, so it can't produce all colors. Yeah. Okay, so that's some ideas. Let me flip over, see if there's any last questions. You're welcome, Gabriella. Thanks for sending in the portfolio for consideration. Okay. References are love. References are life. Yes, they are. Especially if you don't know what you're doing or haven't done it a bunch of times. Yeah, Garrett, that's the way it works. The reason that I can do it is because I've done it for years and years and years. You're welcome. Okay. Did I look at Filter Forge? No, I haven't. Michael, I haven't taken a look at it yet. Okay, it is 7:47, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for everybody who has joined us. If you want to submit artwork for the ebook, then leave me a link in this video or another video. Let me know it is for the Mood ebook. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you're wanting it for possible consideration. At 2 a.m. I'm glad you're able to stay up. Hopefully, you still get enough sleep. And a lot of great questions. Appreciate those. And don't forget that the challenge for this week until the next live stream is a knight, has a distinguishing weapon. It is an alien female science fiction genre, has a herringbone design, and it is set in modern day. All right, Bronze, Nikita, Travis, Michael, Francisco, Paulo. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And if you want to pick up more videos that I go in-depth on topics, go to swatchesart.com. If you want to become a patron and get better deals on that stuff and join those challenges, it is patreon.com/swatches. All right, until you see you next time, keep drawing.